Am I the antagonist for not including my ex-wife's stepkids in activities I do with my kids? My ex-wife and I divorced about 4 years ago after 12 years of marriage. We have 2 kids together who are currently 10 and 8 years old. We live about 30 minutes apart and have split custody. But during the school year, the kids primarily live with me since I reside in a much better school district. They spend 3 weekends a month with their mom during this time. Overall, my ex and I co-parent quite well and usually get along fine. My ex-wife remarried approximately a year after our divorce, and she now has 3-year-old twins with her new husband. Additionally, she has 2 stepkids aged 13 and 11. So when my kids visit their mom, there are 6 kids in the house. Unfortunately, my kids feel uncomfortable there because they never truly feel like they have a home since their mom's attention is divided among all the children, especially the younger half-siblings. According to my kids, they rarely engage in any activities when they visit their mom's place. They mostly stay home because it's too much work for my ex and her husband to handle that many kids. To counter this, I make it a point to do something enjoyable with my kids during the 1 weekend a month when they are with me. We go camping, attend sporting events, visit museums, zoos, fairs, festivals, and more. Both my kids and I eagerly anticipate planning and partaking in these activities together. Recently, my ex-wife started asking if her stepkids could join us in some of these outings because they are feeling envious of the fun things my kids get to do. This request led to an argument, as I told her to stop asking since her stepkids are not my responsibility, and I have no interest in establishing a relationship with them. I explained that it's entirely up to her and her husband to create enjoyable experiences for the kids. She argued that managing 6 kids is challenging, but I replied that she chose to marry a man with kids and have more children herself, so that is not my problem. She added that it would be beneficial for our kids and stepkids to bond during these activities, and it would mean a lot to her if I helped her out. I made it clear that I am no longer obligated to make her life easier, and if she and her husband struggle to handle all the kids simultaneously, I would be open to revisiting our custody agreement to have our kids more often. She became angry and called me an asshole for being petty about this. As a result, I told my kids that they should try not to share too much about the activities we do together with their mom and step-siblings. They didn't fully understand why, as we've always encouraged them to be honest with both parents, but I did my best to explain the situation to them. I do feel guilty about this aspect because I want my kids to know they can be honest with both of us. However, it seems like the easiest way to mitigate the stepkids' jealousy. While it's understandable that you want to create special memories with your kids during the weekends you have them, you should also consider the well-being of all the children involved, including your ex-wife's stepkids. It is not their fault that their parents decided to marry and blend families. By refusing to include them in the activities, you are not only fostering resentment and jealousy among the stepkids, but you are also sending a message to your own children that they should not share their experiences with their mother and step-siblings. This creates unnecessary animosity and hinders open communication between all parties involved. It's important to prioritize the children's happiness and try to find a way to include everyone in these fun activities. While it might require some extra effort, it can greatly contribute to building a positive and harmonious co-parenting relationship for the benefit of all the children involved. Am I the antagonist for refusing to pay more rent? My husband and I recently moved back to the state where I grew up. My twin sister suggested that we all live together so that she can move out of our parents' house. At first we were hesitant. However, we eventually agreed because it would benefit all of us. She found the place, a 3-bedroom apartment at $1,295 per month plus utilities. When asking about how we would split the rent and utilities, she said that she would split everything equally with us. This was an agreement we reached a few months ago. 2 weeks ago, we signed the lease and moved in. We agreed that my husband and I would share the larger bedroom, she would get 1 room, and she and my husband would share the spare room as a home office/gaming room. We were all getting along great until my sister approached me, explaining that after thinking about it, she no longer believes that our original agreement is fair because we make more money than she does. For context, I make $29,000 per year. My husband makes $55,000 per year, and my sister makes $45,000 per year. She suggested that we pay 2/3 of the rent and utilities, while she pays 1/3. I was caught off guard by the conversation and needed to think about what she said and talk to my husband. I didn't want to argue with her or make her upset, so we negotiated down to us paying $800 while she pays $495 for rent, and we would pay 65% of the utilities. I still didn't feel right about this, but I tried seeing it from her point of view. The next day I spoke to my parents and my aunt about it. They both agreed that it was unfair for her to renegotiate now. After speaking with them, I realized that I needed to speak with her again and insist that we go back to our original agreement. I approached her that night, acknowledging that we had discussed this, but the more I thought and talked with my husband, who also felt it was unfair, the more I felt it was unfair for her to change our original agreement. Before I could finish explaining my thoughts, she began to interrupt and argue with me. She got upset and walked away, saying that as soon as our lease was up in 1 year, she would find somewhere else to live. At this point, I was shocked at how upset and angry she became. I ended up leaving the house for a bit with my husband to talk when I received a call from my parents. They explained that my sister had called them crying and yelling, saying that they needed to stay out of our business. She felt that she had been treated unfairly and that everyone was against her and taking my side. For context, she recently bought a new car, not out of necessity, just because she wanted a newer one. My dad said that he tried discussing bills with her, but she insisted she could easily afford it. I feel guilty, but my family is telling me that I did the right thing by standing up for myself. Am I the asshole? Your sister initially suggested the idea of living together and agreed to splitting the rent and utilities evenly, which you both agreed upon and signed a lease based on that agreement. It was unfair of her to suddenly change her mind and propose a new arrangement based on your income differences without discussing it with you beforehand. You tried to see things from her perspective and compromised by offering to pay slightly more for rent and utilities, but she became upset and walked away from the conversation. It is understandable that you feel guilty about the situation, but your family is telling you that you did the right thing by sticking up for yourself and not letting her renegotiate the agreement. However, it is important to remember that strong, open communication is the key to resolving conflicts. It would be best to have a conversation with your sister to address her concerns and try to work out a fair solution that everyone is comfortable with, while also considering the original agreement you had. It is unfortunate that the situation has caused strain in your relationship, but with time and understanding, it may be possible to repair it. Am I the antagonist for telling my aunt to get it together at her daughter's wedding? My cousin Tanya just got married. Everything was beautiful, and I had the honor of being a part of the bridal party. Everyone in the party had a role to play, and mine was practically quality control for lack of better words. I basically had to go around and make sure people were where they needed to be for pictures, activities, etc., to keep things moving. At first, everything was going smoothly, but I realized my Aunt Carrie, mother of the bride, kept disappearing and making things fall behind. It wasn't a big deal in the beginning, but as the reception went on, Carrie kept making announcements to anyone she passed, explaining that she needed to step away for a minute because it was an emotional day. It started to become a scene as every 20 minutes or so, you could see her dramatically wiping her face and walking out of the hall. People quickly got annoyed, but no one said anything. I tried to ignore it myself, but it became a problem when Tanya was waiting for pictures and Carrie was nowhere to be found. I assumed she was having a cry, but after 10-15 minutes, Tanya became really worried. A few of us went to search for her, and it took us nearly 30 minutes to locate her. By the time I found her, almost an hour had passed and things were thrown off. Tanya was feeling tense. On the way back, Carrie kept repeating that she was emotional and it was a big day. I told her that I understood her emotions, but for that reason, she needed to pull herself together so things could move along smoothly and cause less stress for Tanya. I suggested she could cry her eyes out when she got home. She became quiet and didn't say anything else to me. We got back, took pictures, and things were good until I noticed Carrie was gone again. I asked around and heard that she left, which was met with a few dirty looks. Soon after, Tanya approached me in tears and angrily confronted me about forcing her mother to leave and making her feel in the way. She expressed that today wasn't about me and that I shouldn't take over. She even said some rude things about me being single and jealous. Feeling hurt, as Tanya has always been my favorite cousin, I walked away. At the bar, another family member told me that before Carrie left, she went around to a few people, including Tanya, and claimed that I had told her to leave because she wasn't wanted there. She said she was leaving to avoid being a distraction. I was furious. I tried texting Carrie, but she wouldn't respond, and Tanya wouldn't listen to my side of the story when I tried to explain. So I apologized and left. It has been a few days, and I have been receiving mean texts from different guests, blaming me for ruining things and suggesting I should have my own wedding to control. When Carrie finally responded, she simply told me to keep my mouth shut next time. I feel really hurt, and now I'm being portrayed as an evil control freak simply because I wanted my aunt to stop causing scenes. Should I have just let her be dramatic the whole evening? Am I the asshole? You were asked to fulfill a specific role in the bridal party, and you were trying to ensure that everything ran smoothly for the bride. It was understandable that you wanted to address the behavior of your Aunt Carrie, as it was causing delays and stress for everyone involved. However, it seems that your approach might not have been the most tactful. Telling Carrie to get it together may have come across as insensitive, especially considering it was her daughter's wedding day. It's important to remember that emotions can run high at weddings, and individuals deal with them in different ways. Furthermore, it appears that there may be some miscommunication or misunderstanding regarding what exactly you said to Carrie and how it was interpreted by others. Your aunt's claim that you told her to leave and that she was unwanted seems inconsistent with your account of the situation. In light of all this, it could be beneficial to reach out to Tanya and apologize for any unintended hurt caused. Explain your perspective calmly and try to emphasize that your intentions were rooted in wanting to ensure the smooth running of the event. Communication and understanding are key in resolving conflicts like this one. Am I the antagonist for telling my friend's GF to stop this shit when she pulled out tarot cards? My best friend Lewis is dating someone who has some unconventional beliefs and behaviors. She believes in tarot cards, palmistry, crystal energy, and other similar things. Initially, when she joined our group meetups, she seemed alright, just casually chatting and smoking weed. However, things took a strange turn when she started asking about my zodiac sign and telling me which crystals matched my energy. On another occasion, when one of our friends was going through a breakup, she made a remark about astrology affecting their relationship. Now, I personally think that anyone who believes in this stuff might be a bit crazy, but since she is dating my friend, I didn't say anything about it. Unfortunately, she started talking about these things more frequently. One day I invited Lewis over to my house, but to my surprise, his girlfriend came along. I wasn't rude, but I also wasn't particularly friendly to her since I didn't invite her in the first place. We were watching a movie when she pulled out a deck of tarot cards. She insisted on giving me a reading, but I declined politely. Still, she kept pushing, saying she just wanted to see what my reading would be like. I got really irritated because this was happening in my own house without my consent, so I couldn't help but speak up. I told her sternly, but not shouting, "I have a reading for you. Stop indulging in this nonsense and face reality." She asked if I was serious, and Lewis thought I was joking. I maintained a serious expression and confirmed that I was indeed serious. I had just reached my limit with all this irrational behavior. His girlfriend started crying and hurling insults at me, and Lewis defended her, calling me a jerk before leaving. Some of our mutual friends support my perspective, as they are equally fed up with her trying to impose these beliefs on everyone. However, others believe I should have let her do the reading to put an end to it. Am I the asshole in this situation? Firstly, it is important to respect others' beliefs and choices, even if you personally disagree with them. You made it clear that you had a negative opinion about her beliefs, which can be hurtful and dismissive. It's unfair to label someone as having a screw loose just because they have different beliefs. Additionally, when she offered to give you a tarot card reading, you could have politely declined without insulting her or getting confrontational. Saying no thanks and leaving it at that would have been a better response. Instead, you escalated the situation by telling her to stop this shit and get real, which was unnecessary and hurtful. Furthermore, your friend's opinions should not solely dictate your behavior. While some of your friends may agree with you, it doesn't justify being disrespectful towards someone. It's important to consider the feelings and well-being of others, even if their beliefs differ from your own. Finally, your edit mentioning the girlfriend possibly having a personality disorder reinforces the importance of empathy and understanding. If someone is dealing with a mental health issue, it's crucial to approach them with compassion and support rather than judgment or ridicule. In conclusion, it would be beneficial for you to apologize to your friend and his girlfriend for your actions, as they were disrespectful and hurtful. It's important to maintain open-mindedness and respect towards others, even when their beliefs differ from yours. Am I the antagonist for telling people the truth about why my ex-boyfriend broke up with me? I used to date my ex-boyfriend Mike. For context, we met when we were 13 at a church camp. He had a crush on me and I knew about it because he told people he hoped we would date. They started asking me if I also had a crush on him, which I didn't. So I asked him to stop telling people that, and we were only friends. He said okay. I switched schools and ended up going to the same school he went to. He was a very religious kid, which often came up in conversations because he would start talking about his godly future wife. I found it odd since we were only 13 years old, but he was a church kid, so it wasn't that uncommon. I found out people thought we were dating because one of his friends told me I wasn't invited to his birthday party since I was Mike's girl. I was confused because I was very clear with Mike about being just friends and not liking him in any other way, so I went to talk to him and asked him to stop telling people that. He denied telling people, but eventually accepted. We remained friends, but he was very open about still liking me, so I kept him at a safe distance and made it very clear that we were only friends. We lost contact after graduating from high school, and then we ran into each other at my college campus. We started talking again and eventually started going out. After 2 months of dating, we were driving to a date, and as I was telling him about something, he interrupted me and said, "Can you stop? You are tiring me out." I looked at him in shock and asked him what he meant, to which he said, "I'm just kind of bored, tired of you." I wanted to cry, but I held it in and asked him to drop me off on the next street so I could take the bus home. He said I was being dramatic, and I told him I didn't want to bore him, so I would take myself home. I got off the car and walked to the bus stop while having a panic attack and went home. I texted him we could talk about what happened, but it would take me a few days to gather myself. After a few months, he went on a trip to the US to visit his baby nephew, and while he was there, he was very distant, but I didn't think anything of it, since he was in a different country. He came back and told me we had to see each other urgently. I said yes, and when we met up, he brought me all of my clothes I had at his house. He told me he was dumping me, and when I asked him what had happened, he quickly started saying, "No, nothing happened. I didn't do anything. I swear I only babysat my nephew and played volleyball, nothing else." I told him I meant what happened between us, and then he told me, "I fell out of love with you after I saw you having a panic attack because I told you you were boring." I laughed and said, "Okay, that's fine. I hope you get home safe," and walked home. So am I the asshole for telling people who've asked that he dumped me because he fell out of love after seeing me have a panic attack? He has told multiple people it wasn't like that and that I'm being dramatic to make him look bad. But that is literally what he told me. Help! It seems like Mike repeatedly disregarded your boundaries and feelings throughout your friendship and relationship. Despite clearly communicating that you were only interested in being friends, he continued to pursue a romantic relationship with you. When he expressed his boredom and disinterest in you during the car ride, it was incredibly hurtful and insensitive. It's understandable that you would feel upset and want to remove yourself from the situation. Moreover, when he abruptly ended the relationship and tried to deny any wrongdoing on his part, it further demonstrates his lack of empathy and accountability. Telling people the truth about what he said and how he treated you is not being dramatic. It's important for others to know the reality of your relationship and the reasons for its end. Mike's attempts to downplay and discredit your experiences are concerning and could be a sign of emotional manipulation. Trust your own judgment and focus on your own well-being. You deserve someone who respects your boundaries and treats you with kindness and understanding. Am I the antagonist for wanting to delete porn of my partner's ex? My partner Hudson and I have been living together for 3 months. We moved in together primarily because I needed a place to stay, so it's been more of a roommate situation with separate rooms. Hudson is a person who keeps a lot of mementos from past relationships, which I am okay with. In particular, he has a lot of items from his first girlfriend, Elise, including several photos on his wall. Although they were best friends and remained friends after breaking up, Elise tragically passed away a couple of months ago due to substance abuse and her family's negligence. Her friends organized a funeral for her since her family did not care. Hudson attended the funeral alone, not even inviting our other roommate who has been his best friend for 10 years. He came back home and was emotionally withdrawn for a few days until he finally opened up about his feelings, although not in great detail. This happened a couple of months ago. This morning I needed a USB, and Hudson said there were some spares in a drawer in his room. I grabbed one at random and found photos and videos on it, most of which were mild, but some were explicit, including intimate moments between him and Elise that had been recorded. It really made me uncomfortable to see this intimate footage of my boyfriend with another person. It felt like my trust had been violated. I confronted him about it and asked why he had those videos, and why he had told me to get a USB when he knew there were explicit videos on them. He claimed that he thought he had lost those videos and seemed excited about finding them. I was upset and left for work. We texted throughout the day, with me repeatedly telling him to delete the videos, and him trying to explain that it's not about the porn, but the sentimental value it holds for him. I feel completely out of my depth in this situation. I don't think he is being dishonest about his reasons, but I still don't like it. He already has videos of normal activities they did together. He doesn't need amateur porn in addition to that. I told him I would delete it if necessary, but he responded by saying that wouldn't solve anything. So am I the idiot? While it's understandable that your partner may have sentimental value attached to mementos from past relationships, it becomes tricky when those mementos include intimate videos and photos. It is reasonable for you to feel violated and uncomfortable after accidentally stumbling upon such content on a USB that your partner had told you to use. In a healthy relationship, it is important to establish boundaries and prioritize open communication. It seems like you have expressed your concerns and discomfort regarding the situation, but your partner has not shown understanding or willingness to address those concerns. Continuously justifying and downplaying the significance of these items may be dismissive of your feelings. If your partner refuses to delete the content or find a compromise that respects your boundaries, it can indicate a lack of consideration for your emotional well-being. In this case, standing your ground and asserting yourself is important for your own self-respect and emotional health. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.